Just don't lose it. It's about 8 feet down.
All right, 5:30 having arrived, call the meeting to order. We'll stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to have to reschedule the public hearing because the notice was for the 25th and we had moved the meeting to today. So we're not going to be able to hold the public hearing on the VZ Park donation. We'll have to do that at the later time after we meet all the posting requirements. And next on it is a bid opening for Hartford Brook fencing and backstop RFPs. The Town of Deerfield invitation to bid. The Town of Deerfield is seeking sealed bids for the construction of a backstop and fencing on the Hartford Brook field. The specific of each job are below. It includes a backstop, fence number 1, fence number 2. Interested parties may contact the Town of Deerfield for site visit. Please mark each bid envelope clearly with 2017 Parks and Recreation Hartford Brook Backstop and Fencing 08. All bids must be received at the Board of Selectmen's office by no later than Friday, September 22nd, 2017 by 2 p.m. Mail all sealed bids to Board of Selectmen, 8 Raymond Road, P.O. Box 159, Deerfield, New Hampshire, 03037. The Town of Deerfield reserves the right to reject any and all bids. And for more information, contact Nick Lawrence, Assistant Parks and Recreation Director. I have one bid from Varant Recreational Surfacing and Fencing for the I'm going with Varant Recreational Surfacing.
What it says inside.
See what it says inside.
This
Tight,
new liquid
tight,
metal
written,
fence down there.
maybe.
I think so.
This must be for a second
Yeah,
field.
close, continuation.
Vermont Recreational Service and Surfacing and Fencing. Very well. Fencing. Backstop.
Do you want to refer that to the Parks and Rec Commission, or?
Well, first I want to name the price. $18,209. Then I'd like to take recommendations.
I'm just thinking, we have, I think we have one backstop and fencing down there now, Jeff, so this
Yeah.
is a continuation of the back of the field. I'm not sure if Vermont was the one that did it originally.
I'm sure that is. But yeah, it's a continuation of the fence and also a backstop for the other field.
So we'd like to refer this to Parks and Rec Commission, the commission for their recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good plan. I think they do our tennis court, too, don't
Yeah.
they?
We do the
You want-
resurfacing.
Well, I think you need to make copies of these and then,
Okay.
You can pass it on to Nick.
all right. Budget review. Zoning board, building department and transfer station are going to be rescheduled because Mr. Pelletier couldn't make it today.
Do we have pages for those? Not that I can find a page either, but.
If you look at the schedule in your book here.
There are,
Oh, my fault.
yeah, they are.
Nope,
Mine has dates, but it doesn't have pages.
nope, and I meant to put
Page
pages,
11.
you're right.
Big time up.
Zoning board
Page
is
11.
page 12. I meant to add a column for pages.
I meant to sort these into my book, but
I love this time of year. All right, the zoning board budget for 2018 is $35,27. That is an increase of,
$61.
something like that, yes.
Oh.
No.
$161.
116.
Yeah.
Do you know if we've got anything coming in on that, John? Because their actual for this year is next to nothing.
This is, whenever this was printed, September 18th.
There was many months they didn't meet this year. There just wasn't anything going on.
I guess I'm not concerned about funding it, but I'm just wondering why they increased it as opposed to just leaving it level, because they haven't touched.
It's the, it appears to be the part-time employee.
Yeah.
Small,
Small increase in applications as there an increase in building permits this year.
so I think they're just looking to cover any additional
An
meetings.
additional $143.
I'm good with it.
Good. Sure, the budget committee will handle it.
All right, we want to, everyone okay with it?
Planning board,
Planning board?
next. Fred must know the number of that one.
No,
That is page 11, Andy.
One item on that, which we discussed, and I thought Pete was going to be here tonight to discuss it with the board, but we were looking at Southern New Hampshire preparing a capital improvement plan for us, and we haven't gotten the price yet, but the question was, they were anticipating somewhere in the vicinity of $6,000 to $8,000 to do it. The question was, should the planning board include that in the budget, or would they look to do a warrant article?
Well, I'm looking at the actual numbers, and they remain the same, at least in this budget, $44,509. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we should put it in the budget.
Yes.
That's a clear tool that we need
Mhm.
for financial opportunity,
yeah,
that sort of thing, and the planning board is charged with it, so
okay.
I think we should put it in the budget.
I'll pass that word back to them.
Yeah. As of right now, it's level funded.
Right.
Nice.
$6,000 is what the general,
6 to 8.
okay. Then let's plan on the planning board adding to their budget with that.
When's the last time we looked at that? When Leslie was here?
Yes,
Yeah.
we had the signs on the wall.
The master plan from who?
Capital improvement plan from Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission.
$6,000 to $8,000 that we would be added to the budget right now. Anyone else have any more comment on that one?
Is that the recommendation?
But I think I would just probably leave that open for.
Right.
But
For the
it's
planning board
not
to-
not definite at this point.
To do it.
So there'll be future updates on this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, and then Conservation Commission,
Eric is here.
and Eric is here.
47. I was headed in that direction.
Conservation
One
Commission.
page before.
I don't miss doing this.
Evening.
Hey, Eric.
That's 47.
All the way to the back. How you doing, Eric?
Doing fine. What
So-
would you like to have information about?
Well, right off the bat, $3,051 is the total budget. That's up from $2,771 for 2017. Anyone have any questions?
I didn't.
$200 increase in the part-time secretary.
Yes. Looks like that line will be zeroed out and maybe overspent this year, possibly a little bit. Our administrative assistant, Judy Marshall, has been a real plus for the Conservation Commission. There's a lot that needs to go on.
Oh, right there.
And she, I think also, I would add, There's been-
Books there.
Northern Pass analysis and research, which will still extend into next year, perhaps through at least the end of March. So,
And there's a $80 increase in meetings and seminars.
Right. That has been we have 2 new members on the Conservation Commission, and of course you approve them, so you know the names perhaps, but Ben Minard is taking on the responsibility for trails, which Jim Deely had been covering for us, but he's sort of overcommitted in so many ways and decided to move off the commission. Ben Minard is already working on making plans and setting things up. So he's going to be attending the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commission annual meeting, which is in October, I think. And also, we have a young woman from Cooperative Extension at UNH. She lives in Deerfield, of course, and I can't think of her name. I'll think of it after I'm through. So we would like both of them to go to the meeting, and actually we want to, our education and training has been very dormant for a long time, and we need to keep up with things. So here's a chance with 2 new members. This won't cover the whole, actually it would if it's just 2 people. I think it's $65 a person, so.
Her name's Vicki Nelson.
Is it, the new person is Vicki Nelson, maybe?
No,
No?
Oh, wrong Cooperative Extension person.
no. You must know, you voted for it. You approve the appointment. So we're all in the same boat.
Questions?
No, it
So-
sounds like money well spent.
Good job, Eric.
Good
Anything
job.
else?
Well said.
Oh, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Doing it.
As I mentioned, Building Department and Transfer Station, Mr. Pelletier couldn't be here today, so we're going to reschedule it, but there is one question we need to talk about for next week. Fire Department and Rescue Squad. One budget or 2?
2 right now.
I think it has to be 2
Right.
as we go forward.
What do you mean?
We haven't made any,
Well, that's that's the question I'm throwing out there.
well, if I can continue, I think we have not discussed in detail with either the fire chief or the Rescue Association chairwoman a combination of this, and I think we really need to have a
Okay.
public discussion with them present before we merge budgets or merge departments. That would be my take on how to proceed
So-
with the least.
Who do you think we should meet with? The association or the 2 chiefs of the departments?
I think we should start with the 2 leaders
Okay,
and ask for their input and
okay.
give them maybe, what we're looking at, what we're thinking.
What are we thinking? Do we want, do it?
Well, I think that's what we need to do.
My problem. Do we want to move towards merging the 2 departments at the beginning of the year? Is that something that we want to do?
I think it's too soon.
Certainly sometime next year, I think, yeah.
Right.
I think maybe the beginning of the year is too soon.
We don't know.
What's that? I'm sorry, I apologize,
Joe.
Dick. Andy, what was that?
I was just echoing what Dick said.
Okay.
I think the first of the year is too soon.
Okay, good. Then we have a,
Let things go and see.
Get through budget season. If worst case, we take the 2 and add them together.
And I'd continue that. We've not had a public discussion about,
well, that's what I'm trying to,
Yeah.
merging these 2 things, and I think we definitely need to have those 2 people present when we do that.
do we want to schedule something, say, for next month with both the
2 fire chiefs.
the 2 fire chiefs and the rescue squad?
I think it's a good idea.
Mhm.
Good plan.
Okay.
Get the talk going.
I mean, it's coming up quick. That's 60 days.
Yeah.
Till the end of the year, so.
Yes.
I think it's too much going on right now with the fair and that to have them.
No,
In
I
next week.
agree. But it's something to start the discussion. All right. So next month, say middle of October, schedule both the incoming and outgoing fire chief and the rescue squad people, and we'll have a discussion. Okay?
Sounds good.
Any other budget reviews for, questions for next week? We're going to be dealing with Parks and Rec, Fire Department, Rescue Squad, Government Buildings, George B. White, Town Hall, Water Holes, Police Department, Highway Safety, and Animal Control. If you think of anything that we need to have available, then
Can we do all those in one night?
it's gonna be interesting. I think we could.
As many as we can.
Yeah, do as many as we can.
Or we gotta have them be here?
Well,
Mark's gonna handle about half of them, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
and, Police Department will handle, Police Department and Animal Control.
Okay,
I think it's doable.
all right.
Yeah, that's basically Mark and Gary.
Well, Mark is going to have fire, government buildings, GB White buildings, town halls, water holes, town hall, water holes. Gary will have police, highway safety, and animal control.
We're not gonna bring the 3 tonight, tomorrow, next Monday, then, that we put off with Pelly.
Building and transfer can go to the 16th, if that's what you'd
I
like.
think we should.
Yeah.
All right?
All right, folks. I have review of outstanding minutes.
I would move the minutes of September 18th as written.
Second?
Sir?
I'm gonna make up for last week, the last meeting.
He was a little late.
Yes, I was. First page, minor point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down under cemeteries, which starts off, the line starts off with give Mark a raise 2, and just insert a dollar sign in there.
Yep.
Then about 2/3 of the way down in that huge, gigantic paragraph, it's the line I'm interested in is 2 lines below the $1,000 lead-off line. You see that one? And go up to the previous line, it starts, at the end of it, it reads, there are a lot of cemeteries that are right on the edge, and things like fences, something to decline. And it just doesn't make any sense the way it reads
Things
currently.
like fences to decline, yes.
I think if I recall, it's 10 to decline.
Oh, okay,
Or you could just kill the 2.
Like
Them
fences
decline.
decline.
yeah,
Things like fences, yep, done.
that's, next page, third line from the top, starts off with cemetery or adopt a cemetery. There is going to insert BA, need, insert 4, training. Then about 1/3 of the way down, a 1-sentence paragraph leads off with Ms. Mann stated that one of the things that the trustees want to do rather than what to do. You got that, John?
Want to do, correct?
Yeah, rather than what. Then two paragraphs down from that one, second line reads, been expended this year, period. This, looks like we get number in there twice where it shouldn't be. This number should be stricken, so it would read, this year's number doesn't include 2 town-owned cemeteries.
Got it?
Next paragraph, starting off with Selectman Robertson, excuse me. In that line, Selectman Robinson stated that his concern about the cemetery budget is that there isn't enough, and I think it was inserted in funding,
Yeah.
particularly with tree problems. And then, 1, 2, 3, third line further on down, reads, the third of the town's historic stones, period. Selectman Robinson stated that, probably is if, rather than he, if the trustees thought that they could use more and insert funding, that they should ask for it. That make sense?
Oh.
And then I got an interesting one a little bit further on down. starts off with, it says "man" at the beginning of the line, and it's Ms. Mann, stated that one of the cemeteries, the Robinson Cemetery, has 2 Civil War veterans in it, and one can barely walk through it because there are so many dead trees. And it seems to refer to one of the Civil War veterans that is in the cemetery that can't walk through the cemetery because of the trees.
I don't want these Civil War guys walking in my cemetery.
Yeah,
No,
one
you
of the
can't have it.
cemeteries, Robertson Cemetery has 2
So
Civil War veterans
I
in it.
look to the rest of the board to suggest some wording in there that further clarifies that we're not talking about the Civil War veteran walking around.
In my cemetery.
And, right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, how about ending this,
Didn't even catch that one.
how about ending the sentence at "it," getting rid of the end, and one can barely walk through it
Yes,
because
that's
there are so
good.
many dead trees.
Very good.
So,
That takes
period
care
at the,
At the "it,"
it, strike the and
and
start
start a
with
sentence
one.
with one
Capital
can
one.
barely.
Okay.
Yeah. That's good. And then, last page. Under citizens' comments, just about halfway down in Mrs. Katie's comments, it reads, "Other towns to see what they have for safety complexes, what they have done to put up a fire or police rather than policy." And then, second to the last line.
Wait a minute, Fred,
Oh, sorry.
is that in the first paragraph?
That's in the first paragraph, about 2/3 of the way down. Starts
see it.
off with, you see
Fire
it?
or police, yeah.
6th line up.
And then, second line from the bottom of that paragraph, Ms. Katie stated that she would like to insert "see" pictures from the internet. That's all I have.
Anyone else?
Yes, I got a question. I don't understand how Mark can get $75 a plot on the first page, 5th, 6th line. Isn't that a quarter? Top him it was a $300 raise, which would be
Yeah.
a quarter of the year. He's not getting paid by the plot.
That's true.
I think that
I think
should
it's
say
70, it should say a quarter also, yes.
quarter, whatever you would, Andy, say a quarter of a 3-month period.
Yeah. No, we're sure.
Quarter?
A quarter,
Yeah.
as
makes
opposed to
sense.
a plot.
Right.
Anyone else?
That's that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I'm going to abstain. All right, vouchers. I have an accounts payable manifest in the amount of $540,527.25, of which $500,000 is for the school.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have a payroll manifest grossing at $50,881.22, netting at $38,331.86.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have here some construction down at Hartford Brook, and I was gonna look to Jeff to explain what we're looking to do here.
Yeah, you have a list of bill of materials there that was submitted by Jack Hutchinson. What it's for is building the dugouts for the new field. It is over our limit for putting out to bid. This was supposed to have been done in the spring with the grant money, but we didn't get the grant money until just a couple weeks ago. And it's work we wanted to get done before it got cold, because it would be really hard to get the slab done and the work done there in the mud and not have it available for use in the spring. So Jack has also donated all the labor. He's gonna be building them, so the cost for the dugouts is just the material cost.
So that's the LWCF
Yes,
grant of $25,000,
yes, correct.
and the total cost for materials are $4,278.85. And,
Do we need a motion for that? or-
well, I just want to pass on, we have engineering drawings, and they've been submitted for approval,
Yes, Rick has been on this, yes.
okay? We put the project out to bid for, what was the bid that we received, was for fencing and backstop?
Fencing and backstop, correct.
Okay.
And there'll also be bids for irrigation and maybe seeding, hydro seeding.
Hydro seeding.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two more bids
Two more
coming.
bids coming. And that work probably won't get done till spring at this point.
Okay, and under the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, there's a condition in there. I'm trying to find the actual condition. The sponsor will not discriminate on the basis of residency, including preferential reservation or membership system and annual permit systems with respect to property acquired or developed under this program. Reasonable differences in admission and other daily, seasonal, and annual fees not to exceed a 2-to-1 resident ratio can be applied. I just want to make sure that, because we're accepting this grant, these are little issues that we have to make sure that we are aware of. And then there's also condition L, property acquired or developed under this project will be retained and used for public outdoor recreational purposes. No conversions to other uses other than outdoor recreation or disposal of any part of the property of the future will be permitted without adequate substitution and replaced and approved by the New Hampshire State Liaison Officer in the National Park Services.
That property is deed restricted anyway,
Right.
so.
And that was all part of the application process.
But it was recommended that we just make sure that we're aware of those two.
Yes.
That being said, if I would entertain a motion to approve the construction, the acceptance of the grant, and ask for the board's permission for me to sign it.
Can I look at the lumber list for a minute?
Say again?
Can I look at the lumber list for a minute?
Absolutely.
It-
Sorry, sir.
The grant application's in there as well? Okay.
I would make a motion to accept the grant application and approve the expenditure for materials as
Second.
outlined.
Second.
There you go.
Said it too quick.
I guess the only thing in the, with regard to bidding would be the materials, since Jack is gonna be doing all the work for free, basically, and.
Mhm.
That's why I wondered, because it's
Yeah, I was gonna,
$4,300 worth at one price from Jackson.
those numbers look reasonable?
It's too hard to tell right now.
Yes.
Right now, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy them right now. I'd wait a week or two anyway.
Past the hurricanes.
I just hope, when was the date of that quote?
I'm seeing 9/12.
Yeah, they're up substantially since then, so hopefully they'll come back.
Do you think we should proceed with the approval of buying these materials?
we need to do the job, but I think we may have to get a second quote.
Okay. So, we have a motion on the floor to approve the expenditure of the money for
Right, are we locked in at $4,738?
$4,278.
We're locked in at that?
We can come back and
Yeah.
make a
that-
motion and
okay.
adjust it.
Just make sure we're covered.
Okay. And for us to sign the agreement with the grant, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we need to hold a hearing on acceptance of the grant as well, because it's in excess of 10 grand?
Yes.
We need to schedule that
Get that on there as quick as,
before we return the paperwork.
yes.
Well, this money can come out of the warrant article side. too.
Right, the expenditure for materials, but if we're actually
Right.
accepting
Oh, I see
the
what you mean.
grant,
Yeah,
we need to
right.
hold a public hearing
Right.
before
Yeah,
we
you're
send them that paperwork back.
Thanks for picking up on that, Andy. All right, I have two personnel action requests. One is for Nick Lawrence, the Assistant Director of Parks and Rec, to give him a temporary increase from $16 an hour to $17 during the director transition. And the same is for Deb Trantville, with a temporary increase from $15.50 to $16.50 during the director transition. And if the board is okay,
So moved with you signing it?
yeah.
Second,
And that's, just to clarify, that's retroactive to when Joe left until the position is filled.
Effective date is the 18th until the position is filled.
I would say, in talking to both of them, they are more than busy and have a lot of extra from
All
mowing
right.
the lawns to,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I have here a resignation letter from William Von Hassel. Effective immediately, I hereby resign as a member of the Deerfield Municipal Budget Committee and from all its duties and responsibilities. Do we accept that? Or I think the Budget Committee
he
does.
presented it, the budget committee is aware of it. It was, we had a meeting on last Tuesday, and the letter was read.
Okay.
You're actively seeking replacements, I
Uh,
read.
We have put word out, and I know at least one person has come forward and said they were interested.
Excellent. All right, has everyone looked at the tax payment agreement letter that's been drawn up? There are three sections of it that may or may not provide a problem in either the taxpayers and or ours. One is for us to agree to this and for the taxpayer to agree to this. All required insurance policies shall be issued by companies satisfactory to the town, be in an amount sufficient to protect the town's interests, show owner and the town is insured, or as may be appropriate, show the town as additional named lost payee or named insured, and contain provisions providing for 10 days prior written notice to the town of any intended alteration or cancellation of said insurance policies. Another section that could cause a problem is, in addition to all of the amounts due under this agreement, owner agrees to pay all costs incurred by the town for preserving the property, collecting all amounts due to the town under this agreement, including but not limited to filing fees and attorney's fees. And the owner shall remain current on all property taxes that may be leveled hereafter signing this agreement. does the board want all those stipulations put in this written agreement? In the past, we have not had any written agreements when dealing with taxpayers who are trying to catch up.
I know, it's actually been working well.
It's actually been working well. This policy would legally protect the town if we had this signed by a taxpayer and we agreed to it. It's protecting the town's best interest, but it's also probably gonna scare some people away.
And if they don't sign it,
Well, what have we done in the past? We've
we've worked with them without
worked with
anything.
any taxpayer who
Yeah.
wants to come in. Yes, sir.
The other thing that I would offer, I'm not sure exactly where we are with all the taxpayers that we've been working with. I think we've had what seem to be successful meetings at certain onsets, and I have no idea how that follow-up has gone, if they've gotten any more current, or if they're still just pecking away at large back numbers.
My understanding is the agreements that we've reached privately with taxpayers in the, let's say, in the last year, have worked well.
Okay, I'm thinking of the ones where we've had sales, and those have worked
Mhm.
particularly well because there's money coming from the sale, and, you know, we can see the end run. But some of the other ones that have just been sort of rolling along, I'm not sure if we're
So
staying where we need to be or not.
in talking with the taxpayers that we've talked to and we've had success with, they set themselves a goal, they've been meeting it, we do everything we possibly can to help them. If we go to this side, I believe it's already spooked one taxpayer, those three sections I mentioned. But if we go to a written document, I think those three sections need to be in there to protect the town's best interest. The hardest one being, if you owe back taxes and you're gonna pay X amount, oh, by the way, you also need to be current on your new taxes, which is, I think, a stumbling block that most people can't go over. Go ahead.
I think maybe we should adopt the written policy, start with that. So we've got a process that we approach each taxpayer with. If for some reason the taxpayer is unwilling to sign our written policy, we could consider negotiating with them.
And doing what we're doing right now.
See if there's something more meaningful and better for both parties we could do.
Okay.
That's why I was saying we can bend if we sign this. Okay.
We can, if the taxpayer is willing to sign it as it is, there's no need for us to bend. But if they balk at signing some of this, and there's problems, and I imagine that we can amend it under each circumstance.
We could amend it. I think basically, you know, in my mind, what we would do is present our agreement. If they are not willing to sign it, they need to show us some light at the end of the tunnel and convince us that, you know, we can
Right.
get to that light.
Yes, sir.
Is there, I'll ask the insurance guy, is there a cost for having us listed as additionally insured?
There isn't a cost, and typically it would be almost like listing your mortgagee. I think it's very, my concern would not be that we're listed for property loss or that sort of thing, but I think it's a good idea that we be listed, particularly for anything that we're in the process of taking, that we be listed as an additional insured for liability purposes, because if the town is owner or has some incidents of ownership on that property, we would certainly be named in any action that came out of it.
I think this makes sense from a legal point of view to protect the town's best interests. But I also realize that we've had success in, say, gentleman agreements with taxpayers who've come in and work with us. But the opinion of the board to put this, we'll put this as the first step in talking to a taxpayer, and if there's a difficulty, then we can discuss it with the taxpayer and work from there.
We withhold the right to negotiate as we see fit.
That's fine.
Is that good?
Works for us?
Yep.
Okay. That enough for you? All right. The town administrator's report.
Couple of items to follow up on there where questions have been asked in previous meetings. You'll find in your folders the details of the cost of the cistern. I have all of the costs for you. And as you can see, that it did come under budget.
$62,399.09, of which $67,540 was budgeted.
Correct.
If you haven't been down there, it looks great, and the grass came in very well.
The plan is I've had pictures taken and it's going to go up on the Town of Deerfield Facebook page with an explanation and where it is for people to go look at.
So $47,540 was just for the cement, just for the
Tanks.
actual tank itself. That's pretty good.
We made up some savings on the crane.
Made a lot of savings with Mark Young with his
Yeah.
excavator. And the other thing that's not in there is all the trucking that the town trucks did of all that fill they bought from
All the
Tebow.
fill.
That's not a real accurate, it is as far as money spent, but not as far as true time.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing is it's under budget.
Indeed.
So all the material was trucked by our guys?
Everything but Merrill's, the 1944, I think it was close to 1,500 yards we trucked from the power lines down. It was a nice short haul. Mark negotiated an unbelievable deal on the fill price.
Where they were blasting, they had that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
10 cents on the dollar
From
for
Tebow?
what he bought it for
Okay.
for the town. Otherwise, we would have been over.
Very good.
Thank you.
The Parks and Rec Subcommittee will be meeting tomorrow for the initial review of all of the received applications for the Parks and Rec Director tomorrow evening. And the town clerk tax collector would like to know the board's preference for deliberation sessions. We have Saturday, February 3rd, or Saturday, February 10th.
You want to go first?
sure.
We'll go first.
It's going to snow on the 10th anyway, so.
And that's all I have for tonight.
Anything with the town administrator? All right, under unfinished business, we already talked about the tax payment agreement. Next subject is the police station. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. Anybody have any further comment?
I talked, let's see, a couple of things. I got a price from Keach Nordstrom for the surveying of the 11 acres, and what was it, 43 or 4,500? I think it was in that vicinity.
Right.
Which, and then I talked to an architect who used to live in town, Jonathan Halley, and in fact, he was on the planning board a while back, and I was still on the board then at the time too. So anyway. And so he's done several municipal buildings. He's police and fire buildings. He's currently doing the Rockingham County Sheriff's Department new building. He's the architect, lead architect for that. So he certainly has some experience with regard to this type of structure and type of building. And he gave me a ballpark estimate of cost per square foot for a slab-on-grade wood frame construction and interior concrete block walls for the cells, and in the vicinity of $200 to $250 per square foot. That's the number that he had thrown out. And obviously, that's the ballpark number, and whatever the heck we ended up being designed would, the number would change from, but hopefully be within that range. Architectural and engineering costs for a $1 million building which doesn't necessarily mean that this is gonna be $1 million, but to give a ballpark idea as to what the architectural and engineering costs would be, and that would include design plans and then overseeing construction and construction administration, would be in the vicinity of $125,000 to $150,000. And he said generally the ballpark would be, for architectural cost would be 3 to 4% of the total cost. So that's the ballpark number that he also threw out. And those are the numbers he had given me, so that gives us some idea as to what we could be looking at.
The 200, 250 doesn't include site work, right?
Right, right.
That's
Site work would be additional.
Just the building.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I think at the very least, we should plan on moving ahead with this survey
Get the site surveyed.
as soon as
I agree.
possible. We've definitely got an interest in that property and using it in this fashion, so.
Well, at least we'll know we own. Maybe we won't want to use it.
Yeah.
Be good to know what it
Find
is.
out for $45 that we don't want to use it because of whatever. It's-
So can we set up, we wish to go forward with Keach doing the site survey?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
That makes sense to me.
Because I think that parcel of land would end up having some value for it, use for it in the future, whether it's this or not, and having the survey done would makes it a lot easier for us to do any planning in the future for something.
All right, we'll make that happen.
I did talk to him too, with regard to what his experience has been and with regard to police stations. And he certainly was saying that to have everything on one level would be, it certainly would be preferential.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Obviously.
And I threw out the concept of, this has been thrown out a couple of times, but with regard to the American Legion building. And for some reason, that concept had been thrown out, well, gee, maybe the town will buy the American Legion building and use that. One of the things he had said was that if you did do that, you could probably end up using the basement for the area where the vehicles would pull in with the prisoners, but you would need an elevator to get them to the first
upstairs.
floor. So you look at that with the costs associated with having an elevator, and it really just makes that whole concept not particularly viable.
That's the first time I've heard that one, but, and that would also mean that the Legion would be looking to sell it.
Yeah, and that fact was also seemed to be overlooked when this whole idea was thrown out.
Okay.
Obviously, the town wouldn't want to be in a position to take that building,
No.
and so, anyway, so that's the information I was able to have. He was, because he has some roots to Deerfield, he said he would be glad to come in and talk to the board at some point in the future if we were interested in talking to him.
Okay.
And to get some ideas as to what we should be doing.
Is that Keach or?
No, this is Jonathan Halley.
Where's he now, Fred?
He's in Concord at Orange Street Architect, I guess is what,
Yeah.
That's what he goes by?
yeah. Yeah.
Because I just did some quick calculations, his figures might be right on the actual cell part, but it's way out of line on the garage part and that. So it'll be interesting to get the survey going and then
Mm-hmm,
see what will fit,
right.
get more accurate numbers, so it doesn't get out on the street that it's $1 million building when it's 700,000.
Oh, yeah, well, and one of the things he did comment on, and again, his experience with regard to doing this type of thing, is the floor plan that we had has the booking room off of the Sallyport, and he said that if you're going to be bringing juveniles in through there, you're showing a couple of cells for adult detainees, And he said, you can't do that. You can't bring them anywhere near that, so.
That's part of the problem that we have with the existing station, is that we cannot separate juveniles and
Right.
adults.
So again, I think, I certainly don't want to have us trying to do this on the cheap and not involve an architect who's familiar with the requirements to avoid the cost of having the architect involved. So that's my comments.
I think that's good advice.
Good homework, Fred.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anything? All right, so we'll go forward with the survey, and
Is that going out to bid or just giving it to them because they're our engineer?
What's our price for, I mean, what's our cutoff? for
1,000 usually.
1,000?
And
But-
what price did you have?
It was 40, I think it was 43 or 4,500?
But he is the town's engineer.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't remember when we changed that, but just that strikes me as a ridiculously low amount for going out to bid, particularly given the fact that we've been getting
Yes.
no bids or one bid. And I
Would you
think
like to entertain to change that policy?
I th-
End it?
I would almost, without giving it a lot of thought, I would almost say $5,000 should be the
That's-
amount that we go to bid on.
That's a number that was immediately come to mind for me anyways.
So would you look at amending the town bidding policy?
I'll bring it to
Put
you.
in a number worth $5,000 and bring it to the board? All right, any further discussion on this? So we're gonna go forward with Mr. Keach and Nordstrom to do the site survey, and we'll talk about it further.
Yeah, and I think we still should be considering involving a committee in this too.
Okay? Fair enough. All right, any new or other business?
Just briefly, as I mentioned, we had a budget committee meeting on Tuesday night. We had, as we accepted the letter tonight, Bill Von Hossel resigned immediately prior to the meeting. It looks like there's another member that may have missed 4 consecutive unexcused meetings, which the RSA dictates is immediately off the committee. We also made a change in chairman. Alden Dill is now the chairman of the budget committee. I don't know exactly what notice has gone out. I know I contacted John, and John received a letter of interest from Ben Menard that I forwarded to Alden. I think they're verifying the 4 absences. It's likely that they'll,
Come up with
fill a
another
position at the
position.
next meeting, and then the following meeting, fill the following position.
Is there a new vice chair?
There is not. John Dubianski is still the vice chair.
Good.
So we have one.
We do.
We just changed chairs. Okay.
Yeah, it was just the chair that changed. That came out of a procedural
Excuse me.
maneuver. It was determined that the procedure used to elect the chair at our initial meeting in June did not follow Robert's rules. It didn't consider all the nominees, so that's why we had a revote on the officers. The other thing I would mention, I've heard from 2 more people over the past weekend and this week regarding roadside mowing. And I know I mentioned at the last meeting that I had seen some action on it, but it appears that action has stopped. And our tradition has been to try to get roads mowed before school starts, so we don't have little kids standing in 4-foot weeds at the end of their driveway with cars rolling by. I know that the road agent started this procedure in early August, trying to get the roadsides mowed, and I'm not sure exactly what needs to be done, but I'm not.
It's not
real-
happening?
It doesn't appear to be happening at all, and I'm not real pleased that we've issued the contract and are maybe gonna have our roads mowed in October or November.
Can we contact the person who was awarded and ask for a schedule?
And I don't know if the highway agent's gonna do this. I know there has been some discussion about whether the town should undertake renting equipment and making it a function of the highway department, because we've had some difficulty getting bids, more than one bid, and we've had some difficulty getting
Getting it
contractors
done.
to do it before snow flies.
Thanks for catching that. Anyone else? All right, I'm gonna note,
What's that?
okay, I'm gonna note that we need to go into a non-public. It should be short, so I'm gonna do it in, we need to go in under B, and when we come out, we'll have citizen comments. Good to go? I want to note for the record, no action was taken in a non-public session. Could I get a motion to seal the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
All those,
Yes.
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 yes. I would at this point entertain a motion for the chairman to sign an offer of compensation for services for the finance director position.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Citizens' comments. Ms. Hutchinson,
I'll be quick.
don't worry about being quick.
Just two quick things. One is, I just wanted to thank Gary Duquette and you folks, and perhaps John Harrington, whoever all was involved, in how quickly you responded to the need for a policy for the police with regard to undocumented folks who may be coming through Deerfield. I just thought it was really great that we made a quick response and settled that so that we won't have that kind of problem in
And
the
that was Chief
future.
Duquette. He came up with that immediately.
Yeah, which I thought, so, thank you. And Erin DeBacco couldn't be here tonight, but she asked me to read this to you. It says, "Dear Selectman and Chief Duquette, I'm writing this letter to thank you for your compassionate and common sense approach to the question of asking people for immigration documentation without cause. This policy reflects understandings reached by a number of police departments that immigration status falls under ICE jurisdiction rather than local. It avoids the risk of exposing our police department to lawsuits for false imprisonment, and it reduces the chances of racial profiling, which is critical in this time of increased expression of hate. I support this policy, Erin DeBacco." And then I just had one other quick announcement, which is to let everybody know that this is with my Focus Chair hat on, that the new phone book, we think, is going to be picked up tomorrow. So it will be at the Deerfield Fair, if we pick it up tomorrow, at the Historical Building, and it'll be sold all 4 days at the fair. It's $5 a piece. It's blue this year, so nobody has had a blue one before.
Seen one.
And then after that, it will be sold upstairs out at the town offices. I'd spoken with John Harrington about this before, and so we'll bring them to you on Monday, I hope. And also, it will be available through the members of Focus, and there'll be an article in the forum about those people and where people can get them. So that's the good news.
Thank you,
That's it.
Rebecca.
Thank you for the comment.
Yeah.
And Aaron.
Miss Katie?
I would like to ask you to put out to bid the survey of the 11 acres. Obviously, it was surveyed by Rob, or something like that, when he surveyed the lots around Freezy's Pond, and that's a recorded survey map in the Rockingham Registry of Deeds. I don't know if it's 1 lot, 3 lots, or whatever, but Jim Franklin has been quite reasonable in his surveys that he's done in town, and I would like to see a bid on that process. We also have a couple of surveyors in the town that should be given a chance to bid on that. The selectmen voted April 18th, 2011, to have a $10,000 bid policy. That is what you now have on record. If you want to change that, I would welcome it, but it's $10,000. I know, because I brought it to your attention, that you had not done it in a legal manner, and the following May, Dick Pittman made a motion to make it $10,000 and correct the previous vote.
Thank you. Anyone else? Bernie, no? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Everybody have fun at the fair.